I never thought I'd be the guy sitting here, writing about how my world fell apart in the worst way imaginable. I married Emily about 5 years ago, and honestly, for a while, I thought we had a good thing going. She was gorgeous, sharp-tongued, and always knew how to push my buttons, but I loved her. Or at least I thought I did. She had this fiery attitude, but she could be sweet when she wanted to be, and I figured that was normal. We had our ups and downs like any couple, but nothing prepared me for what I found out last week, right in the middle of what should have been a somber family moment. My dad passed away unexpectedly. It hit me hard, and I was trying to stay strong for my mom and my younger sister, Lisa. The funeral was supposed to be a quiet, respectful affair, a time to grieve and remember Dad. I was doing okay until I noticed Emily acting weird. She'd always been a little dramatic, but now she was overly emotional, clinging to her phone, whispering to someone during the service. She told me earlier she was just talking to her sister, but I saw her sneaking her phone away every few minutes. There was this strange nervousness about her that I couldn't shake, but I brushed it off. Maybe she was upset, maybe she was just overwhelmed. After the funeral, I stayed behind to help my mom clean up, and Lisa was doing her thing, texting on her own. Emily said she needed to talk to her best friend, and she left early, citing a headache. I didn't think much of it at first. But then I saw her car parked down an alley, which was odd because she usually stayed at the house. She was supposed to be with her sister, resting after all that crying. I decided to follow her, out of curiosity and that gnawing feeling that something was off. I parked a few blocks away, and what I saw made my stomach tight. Emily was sneaking into this little bar with my brother Jake. Yes, my own brother. I saw them go inside together, and they looked a little too cozy, like they had their arms around each other. My mind was spinning. I couldn't believe it. My wife, my brother, during my dad's funeral, that's some sick, twisted betrayal right there. I didn't confront them then. I just stood there watching through a crack in the door, feeling like I'd been punched in the gut. It was like my world was crumbling, and I hadn't even gotten a chance to process the funeral. I stayed there for a few minutes, watching them laugh and whisper, and I felt this rage swell up inside me. How could she? How could she do that right there in the middle of all that grief? I kept telling myself it was just sex, that it was just some stupid mistake, but deep down I knew it was more than that. It was a slap in the face, an insult to everything I believed about her, about us. I didn't move away right then. I just stared, trying to make sense of it. When I finally went back home, I couldn't sleep. My mind kept circling around the image of her and Jake, so close, so intimate. I kept asking myself why. Why now? Why during Dad's funeral? Was this just a moment of weakness, or had I missed all the signs? I wondered if she'd been cheating on me for a while, or if it was just some stupid thing that happened because she was upset. Either way, I knew I couldn't ignore it anymore. That night I decided I had to find out everything. I had to know the truth. I was hurt, furious, and confused, but I also felt this strange calm, like I was about to take control of a situation I once thought I had no power over. So I started digging. I checked her phone, her emails, her social media. And what I found, well, that's what's coming next. But for now, I just want to get this part out there. My world shattered in the blink of an eye, and I was about to confront everything I thought I knew about my wife, my brother, and myself. The moment I saw the messages on her phone, I knew my suspicions were right. There was no denying it anymore. She'd been lying the whole time, telling me she was just comforting Jake, that it was innocent, just some emotional support after Dad died. But the texts told a different story. There were pictures, too, smiling selfies, intimate whispers, and references to next time and can't wait to see you again. It wasn't just a one-night thing. It looked like they'd been sneaking around for weeks, maybe longer. My stomach turned, and all the rage I'd been holding back boiled over. I sat there, staring at the screen, feeling like my world was falling apart all over again, but this time in a much more personal way. How could she? How could she lie to me, cheat on me, while we were all supposed to be mourning Dad? I kept asking myself if I'd missed the signs, if I'd been blind or just stupid for not noticing the way she'd sometimes avoid my eyes or get snippy when I asked about her plans. I knew I should confront her then, but part of me was frozen. I needed a plan, Needed to understand exactly how deep this rabbit hole went before I said anything. That night, I stayed up and went through her messages again, taking notes, trying to piece together everything. I couldn't believe the audacity. She was texting him during the funeral, during her emotional breakdown, telling him how much she hated me sometimes but that she was stuck with me. And when I saw her ignore her phone when I asked her if she was okay, I knew she'd been hiding something. The worst part, she kept trying to lie her way out of it when I finally confronted her. She said it was nothing, just a mistake, and called me paranoid. That bitch was good at twisting everything. The next morning, I decided I had enough. I needed to hear it from her, straight up, no more hiding. I wanted to see her face when I told her I knew everything. I confronted her in the kitchen, trying to stay calm, but inside I was boiling. I asked her directly, "Who the hell is Jake, Emily?" Her face went white for a second, then she scoffed and rolled her eyes. "What are you talking about? You're being ridiculous. It's none of your business." I told her I saw the messages, the pictures, everything. She tried to deny it at first, but her hands trembled and her eyes darted around like a guilty kid caught with his hand in the cookie jar. She told me she was just drunk that night, that it was a one-time thing, that Jake's just her best friend. But I knew better. I knew that was a lie. I saw her sneaking out that night, and I saw the way she looked at him like he was the only thing that mattered. The blow to my stomach was brutal. She kept insisting, "It meant nothing, I swear." Like that made it okay. I wanted to believe her, I really did. But I couldn't. Everything was too clear now. I looked at her, saw her bitchy smirk, the way she tried to act innocent even though her eyes told a different story. I felt this sick mixture of heartbreak and anger. I'd been stupid to think she was just upset, just hurt. Turns out she was cheating on me with my own brother during the worst week of my life. I didn't yell, not then. I just stood there feeling numb. Part of me wanted to break down, part of me wanted to punch something, but I managed to keep it together. I told her I needed some time alone, that I couldn't talk to her right now. She snapped back, calling me possessive, paranoid, and said I was overreacting. That was her way, twisting every truth, making herself the victim. I knew I couldn't believe her anymore. That night I couldn't sleep. My mind kept replaying everything, her sneaking around, her lies, the way she looked at Jake like he was her salvation. I kept asking myself if I'd ever really known her at all. Could I forgive her? Could I even look at her the same way again? The betrayal was so deep, it felt like I'd been stabbed in the heart. I was hurt, yes, but mostly I felt so numb I didn't know what to do with myself. I kept thinking about what this meant for the future, for us, if there even was a future anymore. I realized I couldn't just sweep this under the rug or pretend it didn't happen. I needed to plan my next move carefully. I knew I had two choices: confront her again with everything I had, or cut her out completely and move on. But no matter what, I couldn't unsee what I'd seen, and I couldn't unfeel what I was feeling now. Betrayal, heartbreak, and a deep sense of loss that I just didn't know how to handle. This mess was just beginning, and honestly, I had no idea where it was going to go from here. After that confrontation, everything changed. I couldn't look at Emily the same way, and honestly, I didn't even want to. Her smug attitude, her little lies, just made me angrier. I was flooded with this mix of disgust and heartbreak, and I knew I had to do something. I started thinking about how I was going to handle this mess. I couldn't just walk away without making sure I got some kind of justice, some closure. I had to know how deep her betrayal went, how much she'd lied about everything, and what her next move was going to be. The next few days were a blur. I spent most of my time pretending everything was normal, but inside I was planning. I secretly kept her phone, going through her messages, trying to catch her slip up. I also kept watch on her, questioning her every move, but she played it smart. She kept acting like nothing was wrong, throwing fits when I asked about her whereabouts, trying to act like I was overreacting. That bitch knew exactly what she was doing, but I wasn't going to let her get away with it. One night, I finally decided I had to catch her in the act. I set up a little trap. I knew she was planning to meet Jake again because her phone had been buzzing non-stop, full of flirty messages. I left a hidden voice recorder in the living room, just in case she slipped up. That night, she got ready to go out again, throwing on her little black dress, curling her hair, giving me that bitchy smirk like she knew she was untouchable. I watched her, my heart pounding, knowing I was about to catch her red-handed. She left the house with her purse and I followed her at a safe distance. Sure enough, she went straight to that same bar, Jake waiting for her at a corner booth. I parked across the street, watching her walk in, pretending I wasn't losing my mind. I stayed there a while, feeling every ounce of my anger build up. The worst part, I could hear her laughing, flirting with him through the recorder. Her voice was so casual, so dismissive of everything, like she didn't care that she was breaking her vows, her family, or even me. When she finally left, I followed her again, waiting until she got home. I had all the evidence I needed by then. I was furious, completely furious, and I knew I couldn't just let her slide. That night I sat her down in the living room, my fists clenched, and laid everything out, her messages, the photos, the recordings. I was calm, but inside I was boiling. I told her I knew she'd been cheating on me with Jake for weeks, maybe longer. Her reaction, a glare, then that bitchy smirk she always had. "Wow, you're really psycho, you know that," she sneered. "You've got no proof it's what you think. You're just making shit up because you're jealous, you're insecure." Her voice was dripping with contempt, like I was the bad guy here, but I was. I told her I'd had enough, that I knew her lies, knew about the sneaking around, and I was done playing her game. She tried to deny everything, said I was just paranoid, possessive, and that I was overreacting. She kept calling me crazy for even suggesting she'd do something like this. I looked her in the eyes and told her she was a liar, manipulator, and that I wanted her out. Her smirk only grew wider. She said, "You'll regret this. You're overreacting and you're gonna lose everything." That was when I finally snapped. I told her she could leave, that I wanted her gone that very night. She started screaming, calling me possessive and abusive, and then she stormed out, leaving her purse behind. I didn't stop her. I packed some of my stuff, feeling like I'd been sucker punched by someone I'd trusted. I knew this wasn't just about cheating, this was about respect, or the lack of it. In the days that followed, everything was a mess. I moved into a friend's place temporarily. My mind kept replaying all those moments, the sneaking, the lies, the betrayal. I kept asking myself how I could have been so blind. How did I miss the signs? And most of all, how could she be so cold, so callous, to do this during the week my father died? It felt like a punch to the gut every time I thought about it. The hardest part, the realization that the woman I loved, the woman I'd trusted, was capable of betraying me so deeply, so cruelly. Sometimes I wondered if I'd ever be able to trust again, if I could even look at her without feeling disgust. But I knew one thing for sure. I wasn't going to let her destroy me. I had to pick up the pieces and try to move on, even if it meant starting all over again. This betrayal changed everything, and honestly, I don't think I'm ever going to forget it. The days that followed were like a whirlwind of emotions I couldn't quite control. I kept replaying everything, her sneaking out, the way she looked at Jake, the lies she told me. I felt betrayed, humiliated, and honestly just numb. I stayed with my friend Mark, who kept telling me to file for divorce, to cut her out completely. But I wasn't ready to make any moves just yet. I needed time to breathe, to process what had happened. Still, every time I closed my eyes, I saw her smirk, her eyes filled with contempt when I confronted her. It was like a scar that refused to fade. One thing I couldn't ignore, the way she tried to gaslight me, call me crazy for believing my own eyes and ears. She kept insisting it was all a mistake, that she didn't mean for it to happen, and that I was just insecure. She even had the nerve to say that I was overreacting because I was still grieving. That really set me off. I realized her entire attitude was designed to make me doubt myself, to turn my own feelings into some kind of weakness she could use. But I wasn't falling for it. I knew what I saw, what I heard, and what the evidence said. The worst part was feeling like I was losing control over everything. I was angry at her, yes, but also hurt beyond words. How could she do this to me? During the funeral, while I was trying to hold our family together, it was like she had no regard for anyone but herself. I started questioning everything, our memories, our promises, the life I thought we had. I was close to breaking down, but I also knew I had to keep my head straight for my mother and Lisa. They didn't deserve to see me fall apart. I started thinking about what I wanted to do next. I knew I couldn't stay. With her, the betrayal was just too deep, but I also felt a kind of burning desire for revenge, not in a violent way, but in a way that would make her regret ever crossing me. I wanted her to feel the pain I was feeling, betrayal, loss, humiliation, brought home to her, the woman who had played with my heart like a game. I didn't want her to get away with it. I wanted her to suffer just a little, to see what it felt like to be betrayed the way I was. So I started planning how to make her realize what she lost. I knew her biggest weakness, her pride. She loved to throw her weight around, to act like she was untouchable. I figured if I could expose her lies to everyone, embarrass her, maybe she'd finally understand what she'd done. I began gathering evidence, more screenshots, conversations, even talking to a few of her friends who I knew she confided in. I wanted to break her perfect little image and make her see that her actions had consequences. Meanwhile, she kept trying to contact me, calling, texting, begging me to come back, saying she was sorry that it was just a mistake and that she loved me. I ignored every message. I couldn't stomach her words anymore. They sounded hollow, like she was just trying to manipulate me into forgiving her. But I knew the truth. I knew everything now, and I wasn't going to go back to that life where I was constantly doubting. I realized I had to be strong for myself, for my family. I had to stand tall and decide what I wanted, whether to forgive her or to cut her out for good. In the middle of all this chaos, I found myself questioning who she really was. Was she ever truly the woman I married? Had she just been pretending all these years? The thought hurt more than I can put into words. When I looked at her, I saw someone who was bitchy, manipulative, and selfish. Someone who would cheat during the worst week of my life and then lie her way out of it. It was a hard pill to swallow, but I knew I had to accept it if I ever wanted to heal. The more I thought about it, the clearer it became. I had to take control of my life again. I couldn't let her lies and her cheating define me. I needed to find a way to move forward, to rebuild myself and leave this betrayal behind. I didn't know how long it would take or what the future held, but I knew one thing. I deserved better than this. I deserved honesty, respect, and someone who wouldn't betray me when I was at my lowest. I had a long road ahead, but for now, I was just trying to keep my head above water. The decision didn't come easily, but I knew I had to finalize everything if I was going to move on. I spent nights wide awake, weighing my options, whether to fight for the marriage, to try and forgive, or to cut her out completely and start fresh. Deep down, I knew the answer was clear. She had crossed the line so many times, betrayed me so badly that there was no coming back from this. I couldn't trust her anymore. The woman I loved, the woman I thought I knew, had become a stranger. And the worst part, she didn't even seem to care. I started talking to a lawyer, filed for divorce, got the papers ready. I wanted her gone, not just physically but from my mind. I wanted her lies, her sneaky cheating, to be nothing but a distant memory. But even as I prepared to let her go, I couldn't help but feel this strange sense of relief mixed with sadness. It was like mourning someone I thought I knew, someone I'd given my heart to, only to realize I'd been played. Still, I knew I had to do what was best for myself and my family, especially for my mom and Lisa, who deserved stability and honesty. The day she moved out, I felt a strange mix of emptiness and liberation. She came to pick up her stuff, throwing tantrums and calling me possessive, jealous, and crazy. She screamed that I was overreacting, that I was ruining everything. But I just stood there, cold and detached, letting her vent. Part of me wanted to yell back, to rip her apart with words, but I knew it wouldn't change anything. It was over. She was gone, and I finally felt like I could breathe again, even if the air still carried the scent of betrayal. In the days that followed, I focused on healing. I cut off all contact with her, deleted her from my social media, blocked her number. I knew I needed space to fix myself, to come to terms with everything. I spent time with my family, tried to rebuild what was broken, and started seeing a counselor. I wasn't looking for quick fixes. I knew this pain would take time to heal. But I was determined to move forward, even if the scars would stay with me forever. Looking back, I realize this experience has changed me. I'm not the same person I was before. I've learned that trust is fragile, and once broken, it's almost impossible to repair. I've also learned that some people, no matter how much you love them, can be so selfish and manipulative that they're willing to destroy everything to feed their own selfish needs. I don't hate Emily. I won't lie. I still feel anger and disappointment, but I also feel a strange sense of relief. I finally see her for who she really is, and I refuse to let her poison my future. What I want others to take from this is simple. Never ignore the signs, and don't let anyone make you doubt your instincts. Betrayal cuts deep, but it's also a wake-up call. If someone cheats on you or lies to you, don't justify it or make excuses for them. Cut them out, protect yourself, and remember, you deserve honesty, loyalty, and respect. You can survive even the worst betrayal, but only if you're willing to face the pain, learn from it, and move forward. That's what I'm trying to do now. It's not easy, but it's necessary. And someday I hope I'll find happiness again. Without her, without the lies. It's been a few months since everything fell apart, and honestly, I still wake up some mornings feeling like I'm carrying the weight of everything she stole from me. But I've started to rebuild piece by piece. I won't pretend it's easy. There are days when the pain hits just as hard as the first time I found out. But I've realized something crucial. I am stronger than I thought. I've learned that betrayal can shatter you, but it doesn't have to define you. I refuse to let her destroy who I am or what I deserve. Looking back, I see how blind I was for so long, trusting her blindly, when she was clearly hiding so much. Maybe I wanted to believe in her, or maybe I just didn't want to face the truth, that the woman I loved had become someone I didn't even recognize. But what matters now is that I'm done with that chapter. I've cut out the lies, the cheating, the manipulations. I've accepted that she's not coming back, and that's okay. I can finally breathe without looking over my shoulder, without questioning every little thing. I've started dating again, cautiously. It's weird, honestly. I don't trust easily anymore, but I also know that I deserve someone who's honest, loyal, and real. I don't want to carry this bitterness forever, but I do want to be smarter about who I let into my life. The betrayal taught me to listen to my instincts and not ignore the red flags. I've learned that it's okay to walk away from someone who doesn't treat you right, no matter how much you love them. Most of all, I've learned that forgiveness isn't about excusing what happened. It's about forgiving myself for staying too long, for trusting too much, and for believing that she was worth fighting for. I don't hate her, I feel sorry for her, honestly. Someone who can lie and cheat so coldly isn't worth losing yourself over. I've accepted that I can't change her, I can only change myself. And I choose to be better, stronger, and wiser now. If there's one thing I want to leave anyone reading this with, it's this. Never let anyone make you doubt your worth. If someone cheats or lies, don't waste your time trying to fix what's broken. Walk away, heal, and find your peace. It's going to hurt, but eventually the pain fades. And when it does, you realize you're capable of more than you ever thought. I may have lost a lot, but I gained clarity about love, respect, and myself. And that's the real victory.